Guys, welcome to Mattxtian Legends podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Rojas, and today we're going to be talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and their plans with the Avengers moving forward. So essentially it's just a rumor, but it's been circulating around the internet, and they're saying that they're going to be introducing a new Avengers roster, which one could really expect that this would be the case, given that a good chunk of all of the characters from the original lineup are either dead or off-world, like Thor. Black Widow is now deceased, so is Tony Stark. Captain America is considered to be dead, although he might not be if you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And the Hulk is, I believe, the only one left, aside from Hawkeye. The two of them are the only ones of the original roster that are on Earth, and I think Clint is practically retired now, and Banner is, I think, still part of the team, because if you watch the end of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings in the post-credit scene, he was with Captain Marvel in a hologram, of course. He wasn't really there, but he said, "Welcome to the circus being the Avengers, of course, and essentially kind of proves that, hey, I'm still on the team. So, yeah. The new roster is as follows. It's Sam Wilson, Captain America, Jane Foster's Thor, Nova, Ironheart / War Machine. I don't know why I said Ironheart / War Machine. It's actually Ironheart and War Machine because those are completely different characters. Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. Okay, so that's an interesting kind of team, considering that Shang-Chi was introduced to be the newest Avenger, so the fact that he's not part of that is kind of weird. But Sam Wilson, I think, is plausible given the fact that he is now Captain America. Jane Foster's Thor is okay as well. The fact that Chris Hemsworth is not rumored is kind of getting me wondering what his fate will be after Thor: Love and Thunder, and it might be kind of a morbid one, given that Jane Foster might now be his replacement. Nova's kind of a wild card because he hasn't been announced and he's barely been rumored. So I think that's kind of a far-fetched one, but if they were to do that, that would be, I think, interesting to see. Ironheart and War Machine, I think that's understandable. That's they're going to be having a Disney Plus Ironheart series and not technically a War Machine. Well, technically, it's a show on Disney Plus starring War Machine or Don Cheadle, but it's not really called War Machine. It's called Armor Wars, which I think, now I think of it, maybe at some point they should change that title to War Machine Armor Wars because he is the main character. I'm actually excited for that show, by the way. And Miss Marvel, of course, that's kind of a given. You know, she's gonna have her own show, and I'm pretty excited for that too. And Captain Marvel is almost a surefire. Yeah, that's pretty much the team. I think that, like I said, it's realistic. They are seeming to be missing a lot of characters from Phase 4, like Yelena, Shang-Chi, characters from the Eternals, and also characters from the Doctor Strange. Yeah, so I think that maybe that just kind of shows that the Avengers are still going to be kind of, they're trying to keep it similar to the original lineup. There are no magic users. Well, technically, Miss Marvel is now a magic user. She's not an Inhuman. But, yeah, Doctor Strange isn't on the team. Wanda's not on the team. Makes me kind of wonder what will happen to them after Doctor Strange 2. Although I don't think they're going to kill them off. I think though, this would be realistic because this is a new beginning. Okay, let's be real. This is a new beginning for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's Phase 4 is like Phase 1 of this new generation. Similar to how Phase 1 was the Phase 1 of that generation, if that makes sense. They're trying to build up a new core team, not this isn't like they're not gonna treat this like Justice League Unlimited, where they essentially just got a whole band of characters on the team. I think they're going back to the basics because I think it's gonna run dry real fast if they go that route. So I think that this thought kind of really just popped up in my head right now. I think that moving forward, this is the best course of action for them to take. And I really have to be honest, Phase 4 isn't as good as Phase 1 to me because it doesn't have that kind of magic per se, the same magic, the same kind of, I would say, jittery feeling you get when you watch Phase 1 movies. Like, I still rewatch Phase 1 movies today, and whenever I watch it, I still feel, I feel that magic, and it just feels like this world is rooted and grounded in the message that phase was trying to convey, which I believe was more like we should all put aside our differences and band together and make a difference. And I think Phase 4, they focused more on grief, which is understandable. They were focusing more on that. Although I think, if when you watch movies, you should watch it to feel good about yourself. Not to rehash any trauma, not to focus on the negative aspects of that. Phase 4, focused too much on grief and not the solution to grief. Like, every conflict has a resolution. That's what you should focus on. So I think that, I hope that when they, bring these characters together, when they bring this new team of Avengers, when they close off this new phase, which the Avengers movie is not going to be in Phase 5, by the way. So Phase 4 is, I believe, going to end with Thor: Love and Thunder. So that's going to be kind of the Avengers level event. Closest thing we're going to get to Avengers, which would make sense. So that makes Phase 5 technically Phase 1. So I apologize for that. But yeah, movies like that, I hope they will focus on the solution rather than the conflict, right? I know it's kind of weird. It's just I kind of dissected Marvel movies and why I feel like they haven't been hitting as hard as the original, Phase 1 through 3 is because those movies were optimistic, and I think that all movies should be, optimistic. Like, even drama, like, everything, you watch movies to feel good, ultimately. You can't convince me otherwise why you would watch a movie other than to be educated, in which, when you go to a theater to watch a Marvel movie, you're not going there to be educated, right? You're going there to be entertained. You're going there to feel good. So even if the theme of this phase is grief, they should focus on the resolution, which is healing. Like when you watch Shang-Chi, it's not really about healing per se. It's more of like a family that broke apart and a family that gets back together, and a man dealing with his past. Like, it makes sense, it's edgy, this guy, like, I killed this man because, killed my, the gang you work for killed my dad, and now I'm gonna kill my dad, like that's too dark, I think. I think, there's enough darkness in the movie to self-sustain. Your ultimate goal when you're going through that is to find a resolution. Like, when you watch WandaVision, right? That whole thing was just damn depressing, bro. Like, damn depressing and quite disturbing. I don't know why people are romanticizing that show. It was, cinematography-wise, story-wise, there's no problem. It's just the message that they're trying to convey. That's kind of the thing that's bothering me now about Marvel movies. And it's just, these movies have been way too depressing. They're not focusing on the solution, they're focusing on the problem. And I can't really think of anything else than that. And I really hope that they kind of fix that issue, especially in the time that we're living in. I know everything's getting kind of back to normal, but there's a lot of negativity in the world, and I think that most of it is because, movies, billions of people watch these movies, and when you watch movies, like I said, you retain kind of the message of the movie because you've essentially delved into this world of characters, gotten attached to these characters, felt these characters' weaknesses and problems, and the way they handle these things. After the movie, you kind of downloaded that into your subconscious, and when you download that subconscious, it becomes kind of, it becomes a part of you. So, like the movies you watch, like you don't underestimate the movies you watch. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's in part. It's also the filmmaker's responsibility. Filmmaker's responsibility to make it a good message. Let's see, that's not to talk smack about the MCU. I love the Marvel universe. I'm still faithful to that IP, the franchise of these characters, because I grew up with them. And okay, let's look at the message of Wanda. Okay. What is love? What is grief but not love persevering? Okay, so that's the message. All right. What's the solution? All right, so basically, the show ended with her letting go of these people which she should have never trapped in the first place. And then we got Monica Rambeau saying they'll never know what you sacrificed for them. Okay, what exactly did you sacrifice for them? In fact, you ruined their lives. We don't know what kind of psychological torture, what kind of ramifications that event has had on their lives. We don't know, So that being said, what's the message of that? What exactly is the message of that show? Right? Okay, we got Shang-Chi. Alright, okay. So let's try to go back. Okay, Shang-Chi. So essentially, I can't even think of the actual lesson in that movie. All I know is that he had a dad. That basically you are a product of your mom and your dad before you. Okay, so everybody is pretty much a product of your mom and dad before you. And, you're supposed to make the most of what you have, essentially. I guess that's what it is. But what is that in terms of the resolution to the grief aspect of the movie? There's no resolution, If that's going to be your theme, if that's going to be your thing, you have to find a resolution for that. Otherwise, the audience is going to come out of that movie saying that, oh yeah, it's alright to be depressed, man. What are they, how are they going to take this into their regular lives? We've all experienced a loss at some point in our lives, and a lot of us don't know how to handle it. This movie should be kind of something that could help them with that, right? Okay? Okay. That being said, right? Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think, does have something at least, where Sam Wilson gave that speech about people in power, they don't think of the people who are struggling right now. Okay, so that's okay, but in terms of I don't think that the message was clear enough. I think the message would hit politicians hard if they watch this movie, because some of them are corrupt, right? But what about the regular people? What's the lesson? What are we gonna take out of that? What are we gonna do? Okay, so I guess the closest thing would be all right, you go out and try to make a change, and that's okay. I think that's fine. I think that fucking rich soldier, but it's just the majority of the property, majority of the property. Eternals also dealt with death, with death, and I don't even know if that had a moral lesson. Eternal. So let's go back. Okay. So humanity, there's hope in humanity. There's hope in humanity. I guess that's the whole message of it. But it didn't feel like it because that movie is hella depressing too. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I just pretty much talked about two things, and so they're essentially to go back. They're going back to basics. They're gonna have a core team of Avengers. I'm sorry. I kind of went off on a rant there, but they're gonna have a new team of Avengers, and essentially Marvel is focusing more on grief, but they're struggling to kind of give it that kind of magic that the original Three Phases had, because it's depressing. Like movies, I'm not saying movies shouldn't be depressing. Some of the best movies have the most depressing scenes, especially if you watch like anime movies. You know what I mean? Like, but you have to have a positive impact on your audience, ultimately, right? So that's essentially the second part of this podcast. And if you guys enjoy this podcast, please leave a like and subscribe if you're watching my YouTube channel, or if you're listening to this on Spotify or any of the podcast distributors. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I don't really know if there's like leave a review. All right, let me know what you want to improve, what you want me to improve, because I'm doing this because it's something that I personally love doing, and it's something that I want to improve in. Like, I want to be better for you guys. So just shoot a review. If you think it's bad, just let me know. I want to know what I should fix, because that's how we grow. So yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. Have a great day.